If your business cannot survive 14 days without you, you do not own a company. You own an advanced job, and that job is quietly suppressing your valuation. Not because you are incompetent, not because you lack ambition, but because your architecture has not caught up to your revenue. In the next 55 minutes, we are going to isolate the structural illusion trapping millions of dollars inside operator-dependent businesses. We are going to identify the invisible taxes created by founder dependency. We are going to expose the valuation compression most business owners never calculate. And we are going to build a framework for creating a business that functions without your daily presence. Well, this is not motivation. This is not hustle. This is not productivity optimization. This is structure, because structure determines optionality, and optionality determines calm. Most founders believe growth is the goal. Revenue increases, clients increase, team size increases, visibility increases, and on the surface, that feels like success. But growth is not neutral. Growth is an amplifier. If your structure is stable, growth strengthens it. If your structure is fragile, growth exposes it. If your decisions are decentralized, growth increases velocity. If your decisions are centralized, growth increases pressure. Stress rarely decreases with growth. It multiplies because growth increases variables. More clients create more edge cases. More employees create more coordination complexity. More revenue creates more operational exposure. If the machine is immature, every additional dollar increases strain. Now, imagine something clearly. Revenue doubles next quarter. Demand surges. Sales volume increases. Hiring pressure increases. Operational load increases. Now ask yourself honestly, would you feel calm or would you feel compressed? Because your emotional reaction is diagnostic. Calm suggests architecture. Compression suggests dependency. Carrying the business feels responsible. You review contracts. You approve discounts. You solve escalations. You stabilize culture. You become the shock absorber for the company. And because you are competent, the business survives. But survival is not scale. Carrying is not scaling. Carrying relies on your muscle. Scaling relies on the machine. Those are completely different identities. Let's define something important. Decision gravity. Decision gravity means meaningful decisions root upward. Upward means you. Pricing approvals, hiring approvals, escalation approvals, refund approvals, strategic approvals. If every meaningful decision lands on your desk, you are not leading a machine. You are stabilizing one. And stabilization requires presence. Presence creates dependency. Dependency creates founder risk. Founder risk suppresses enterprise value. That is not philosophical. That is transactional. Simulation 1, HVAC Company, a $2.4 million HVAC company. Strong lead flow, excellent reviews. Owner works 55 hours per week. From the outside, it appears healthy. Now we run the 30-day disappearance test. Owner unavailable. Day 3. Technicians begin texting about pricing overrides. There is no documented pricing matrix. The owner normally decides instinctively. Without him, discounting increases. Average job margin drops from 19% to 15%. That 4% difference equals $96,000 annually. One undocumented decision category, $96,000 of erosion. Now stop and calculate mentally. Take your current gross margin, subtract 3%, multiply by annual revenue. What number appears? That number is your potential structural leak. Now ask yourself something uncomfortable. Do you currently operate on guardrails or personality? Because guardrails scale, personality does not. Most founders believe they have staffing problems. Often they have governance problems because undocumented authority creates operational hesitation, and hesitation creates volatility. Live strategic audit. Now we are going to conduct a live strategic audit, not theoretical, practical. I want you to mentally map your business in 4 categories: decision routing, margin stability, operational dependency, escalation frequency. First, decision routing. What percentage of meaningful decisions currently route through you personally? 20%, 50%, 90%? Now ask yourself, if you disappeared for 30 days, what decisions would stop immediately? Pricing, hiring, client approvals, refunds, scheduling. Every category that stops represents centralized operational gravity. Now, margin stability. How often do your margins fluctuate unexpectedly? Weekly, monthly, quarterly, D? If margin volatility surprises you consistently, your visibility systems are weak. Now, operational dependency. Which employee would create the largest operational disruption if they disappeared tomorrow? Now, ask, is their knowledge documented or memorized? Documented systems degrade slowly. Memorized systems collapse suddenly. Live EBITDA and valuation workshop. Most founders optimize revenue. Sophisticated operators optimize cash flow. Architects optimize enterprise value. Those are different games. Revenue creates motion. Cash flow creates survival. Enterprise value creates leverage. $3 million revenue, 20% gross margin, $600,000 gross profit, $350,000 operating expense, $250,000 EBITDA. Now increase revenue 15%. Revenue becomes $3.45 million. Margin remains unchanged. Overhead increases. EBITDA only improves marginally. Now invert the model. Keep revenue flat. Improve margin from 20% to 24%. Same revenue, different discipline. Now, EBITDA expands dramatically. No new marketing, no new staff, no heroic growth push, just structural refinement. Revenue growth feels exciting. Margin discipline feels boring, but boring compounds. Now, let's go deeper. Assume EBITDA increases from $250,000 to $400,000. At a 3 times multiple, enterprise value equals $1.2 million. At a 5 times multiple, enterprise value equals $2 million. That is an $800,000 difference, created primarily through operational maturity, not branding, not social media, not motivation, structure. You are paying an $800,000 tax for being indispensable. Old money protocol. New money chases velocity. Old money protects durability. New money asks, how do we grow faster? Old money asks, how do we stabilize permanently? New money optimizes income. Old money optimizes asset value. Income supports lifestyle. Asset value supports freedom. Most founders never psychologically transition from operator to architect. They continue optimizing income while unknowingly suppressing enterprise value. Stability commands premium. Volatility commands caution. The control ladder delegation fails because it is emotional, reactive, inconsistent. Real delegation is architectural. Level 1, you decide. Level 2, you approve. Level 3, you review. Level 4, you audit. Level 5, you remove. Most founders operate between levels 1 and 2 permanently, and they call that leadership. But structurally, it creates gravity. Everything routes upward. Upward means you. The Brandon Case Study. Brandon owned a seven-figure service company. Strong revenue, strong reputation, completely exhausted. He woke up checking Slack, went to sleep checking Slack. Revenue depended on his availability. Culture depended on his energy. Pricing depended on his judgment. Escalations depended on his intervention. From the outside, the business looked successful. Internally, it was centralized chaos. Every employee waited for certainty from him. Every meaningful decision routed upward. Every operational fire reinforced dependency. Then something happened. A family emergency forced Brandon away unexpectedly. And within days, the machine exposed itself. Pricing slowed, escalation stacked, communication fragmented, decision velocity collapsed. The company survived, but barely. That was the moment Brandon finally understood the truth. He had built a business around his usefulness, not around structural durability. So we rebuilt the architecture, slowly, deliberately, surgically. Over time, decision gravity decreased, managers gained confidence, margins stabilized, escalation volume dropped. And most importantly, Brandon stopped functioning as the nervous system of the company. 1 year later, revenue had increased modestly, but valuation increased dramatically. Why? Because the company no longer depended on Brandon's constant intervention to function. The strategic reset and close. The strategic reset is not motivation, not consulting theater, not endless advisory retainers. It is a surgical 90-day structural intervention, focused, measured, deliberate. Phase 1, triage. Constraint isolation, EBITDA drag, volatility mapping, valuation suppression. By Phase 2, structural reinforcement, authority thresholds, margin discipline, operational governance. Phase 3, authority migration, the control ladder applied deliberately, one lane at a time. Phase 4, cadence institutionalization, weekly reviews, monthly alignment, quarterly re-ranking. Cadence protects architecture. Without cadence, systems decay. Now imagine 90 days from now. Margin stabilized, escalations tiered, authority documented, owner involvement reduced 30%. That is not transformation, that is alignment, and alignment compounds. The strategic reset is selective, not because scarcity markets well, because structural intervention requires focus. Revenue without structure inflates stress. Structure without revenue is irrelevant. Revenue layered onto structure compounds wealth. The question is not whether this works. The question is whether you are ready to operate differently. If you are satisfied being indispensable, continue. If you want optionality, architect. If you recognize structural centralization inside your business for a strategic reset diagnostic, not a sales call, a structural evaluation, go to beteachable.com/success. We will examine constraint concentration, authority routing, margin volatility, governance maturity. If no intervention is required, you leave with clarity. If intervention is appropriate, we proceed deliberately. Structure determines optionality. Optionality determines calm. Calm sustains legacy. Build something that functions without you, not because you intend to disappear, but because durability is the highest form of leadership.